How's it going, everybody? Today I'd like to give you a brief synopsis behind the story of my Vigilantes Creed series, which is in its pre-launch phase on Indiegogo. So if you haven't yet, please check it out and sign up today. The link is below in the description. So as I've mentioned previously, this story is about a gargoyle and a team of vigilantes fighting terror in Detroit. Now, this gargoyle comes to be as a result of Slade Allen, a man who is at his wit's end in life, who is desperate to find purpose in life and find meaning. It's a result of him sacrificing his life in exchange for another, and this puts him on a supernatural path of vengeance and redemption. The person that he saves is a woman named Rachel Winston, who he instantly has a deep connection to, which he can't quite explain at the moment. And during the attack, and as a result of essentially losing his life, he loses his memory. And as those memories come back, it spurs him on this path of vengeance to uncover anyone and anything tied to the attacker. And essentially, he ends up discovering an expansive web of corruption that leads to the formulation of a unique team of vigilantes, all of which have been affected by said corruption, which is spread throughout the entire city of Detroit at the government level, police level, media. Essentially everything is connected to this corruption. And their reconnaissance leads to discovering the man behind all of it, which is a psychopath named Incubus. And Incubus has unearthed a Nazi-era mind control serum, which he uses on the city's criminals to create an army of super soldiers. Now, if you wanted to understand or kind of know some comparatives behind to the story, essentially I would explain it as Batman meets Hellboy meets the TV series Supernatural. Now, I say Batman because, of course, there are mortal vigilantes involved, vigilantes that are willing to go around the law and bend the rules in order to achieve true justice. And Hellboy because, well, the main character is a supernatural being that is tied to angelic and biblical lore, and also has some unique inhuman abilities. And supernatural kind of explains itself right there, right? There's a lot of biblical and supernatural lore in that TV series, and has a very gritty, dark overtone to it, which fits my series as well. And essentially, the series has a very 90s vibe to it. It's a very classic story of heroes versus villains. There are not anti-heroes. There's no towing the line heroism. It's a true tale of heroics versus pure evil. And it's a emotional thriller filled with mystery and intrigue. And it also has a healthy dose of realism. And when I say realism, I'm not talking about, again, anti-heroes or deconstructing heroism. I'm talking about situations and topics where you can relate to them. One good example is, in the story there's a lot of media deception, propaganda, brainwashing, right? Things that we can look around us in current day and be able to relate to, because that's stuff that's actually happening. And also, the heroes have, human weaknesses, human emotions. They've been through experiences that many of us could relate to in real life. That's what I consider realism, not just grittiness or a dark tone. It's having a story and characters where you're like, oh wow, that resembles politicians of today or criminals of today, or perfect example is corruption in Detroit. Anyone that's from Detroit knows its history with corruption, with its government, its water, when it comes to Flint. So that's where I mean that there's healthy doses of realism. So things that you could actually be able to say, hey, that's stuff that could or has happened in real life, to make the story relatable and allow you to feel more connected to the story. Now, it has a ton of escapism. I think that's quite apparent, right? There's a gargoyle in the story. The gargoyle, his name Dread Knight, is a supernatural being. He has the unique ability to be able to turn any part of his body to stone at any given point, which, as you can imagine, can be a very, a fantastic tool for defense and for offense. He also has enhanced vision, nictitating membranes, enhanced strength, enhanced hearing, the ability to fly. So that is a lot of escapism, as I'm sure you can imagine. And then the villain, Incubus, is just a pure psychopath. He's a megalomaniac in search of power, control, and money. And that's essentially it. Now, everyone who reads the story will understand why he's doing what he's doing, but it's not something you're going to relate to, right? It's not a character where you're going to feel sympathy for. No, this is a character you're going to hate and despise. It's a character that you're going to say, wow, that makes me think of X criminal in real history or politicians or whatnot. So this is a traditional villain, just all out evil with a very deep and unique backstory. So I'm very excited for everyone to see the backstory of both these two characters. And a lot of people, when they see my story or the cover art, they think, oh, Gargoyles, right, the TV show. Now, this series does have some similarities, of course, with the characters. However, it is much, much different. The backstory, the lore is completely different and unique. It is not a medieval backstory. It's more tied to biblical and supernatural lore. And it's a lot more gritty in certain scenes. And it's a lot more emotional as well. It has love stories tied into it. And it's also more grounded in terms of the villain's abilities and the fight scenes and everything is more grounded, I think. And as I mentioned, it's relatable to current day events, and it's going to be relatable at the personal level. A lot of my experiences in life led to me writing the story. There are instances in the story that I myself have experienced. Of course, the more grounded sentiments in the story. And, I wrote this story during essentially the darkest period in my life. It's what kept me going. And the more I was writing it, the more I realized I want this book to do for others what it's doing for me. I want it to give them a healthy distraction in a dark time, or give them motivation, or motivate them to be a better person, to be like the heroes in the story. So I want to get this book in front of as many people as possible, and I want them to feel something from it. I think everybody knows there are movies where they watch them and they're like, yeah, that was fun, that was entertaining, but it doesn't really make you feel anything. There are certain movies where it might make you cry during the movie, it might make you just feel something deep inside, and that's what I want my story to do for others. I want it to be a story where they really feel something. And yeah, I'm really excited to get people's feedback in relation to that. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm really, really hopeful that I'll be able to not only attract the novel readers, but also the comic readers. Hopefully everyone knows now that this is going to involve 2 full novels as well as 1 mini comic, and that mini comic is going to be at least 10 pages where it's going to depict important scenes from the story, and it's going to give an introduction to each main character. So you're going to know all the important information about them, and you're going to see with detailed art what they look like. So as you're reading the book, you can visualize them as they're meant to be. There's no guessing. There's no having to try to remember how you once imagined them. It's right there that you can reference at any point. So I'm really excited to bring that new aspect into the novel scene, and also essentially wet the whistle of comic readers to try to gauge their interest in the story and the characters, because if all goes well, I'll be going right into working into a full comic series for this story, and I would like to do the first issue in the next year or so. So, if anyone has any questions or would like to talk to me about the story, feel free to reach out to me. My DMs are open. But I'm hoping this kind of, gives everybody a little bit more insight into the story, the purpose of the story, and what to expect from the story. So thank you everybody for watching, and have yourself a great day, and God bless.